Well, welcome to the Piney Woods. The Piney Woods is the largest garden we have here at the Hammond Research Station. It's approximately 6 acres of some fantastic plantings. Now, the Piney Woods has a little bit different mission than some of the other gardens. This is where we have a lot of our tree evaluations and our woody shrub evaluations, but also a lot of our long-term demonstrations. Some of the best trees, some of the best shrubs that are just historical, always good for Louisiana, we keep here in collection. We also have a collection of quite a few other plant materials in the Piney Woods, from our camellias, our sasanquas, our Japanese maples, hydrangeas, gardenias, and so forth. And we're going to go over a lot of those. Before we go on, I'm going to get into just a little bit of history of the Piney Woods. Now, initially, the Piney Woods served as a straw stand for the Hammond Research Station. So this was full of pine trees, and we would rake the pine straw and use it for all the trials and all the evaluations for so long. Some major storms came through, took down some trees, and we also removed some to create these Piney Woods. So if you notice as we walk around, there's just a few really tall pines and a bunch of other pines that are probably 10 to 15 years old. And this is because we're constantly losing pine trees out here with just the weather, just few pines standing. They tend to take a lot of that force from the wind and they fall over. So you'll notice that there's 2 age levels basic of our pine trees in the Piney Woods. And so every 15 years or so, we have to replant some pines to make sure we keep these Piney Woods. Something else I want to talk about before we get into the plants is one of our newer pushes for the Hammond Research Station that we're going to do in the Piney Woods is we're really getting back to identifying new plant material or plant material that would be great for the Louisiana nursery industry. So we're collecting some new hybrids, new cultivars, some more unique plants that we think have an opportunity, and we're growing them here for long-term evaluations to see if they would fit in the Louisiana nursery industry, and then we can start promoting these plants. Now, one last thing to consider before we go look at the plants is, as I said, the Piney Woods is about 6 acres, so we have thousands of plants out here, and we can't possibly show you all those plants. So we're only going to select the very best or the really important plants that we want to highlight this year. When we do reopen to the public, we hope you come out and you can come see all these plants for yourself, visit the garden as much as possible. So with that, let's get started.
So as Jeb was saying, one of the big collections of plants that we have here in the Piney Woods are various camellia species. Now, right now we're looking at the Camellia sasanquas, and this is the October Magic series. The October Magic series is from the Southern Living Plant Collection, and they actually do start blooming a little earlier in the fall and continue on in the winter. But these aren't the only ones that we have here. We've got Camellia japonica, and then some unknown species to the industry pretty much, such as Camellia editae and also Camellia fraterna. These have very different growth habits, different bark colors, different leaf shape and different leaf texture, and different bloom habits. So really, I feel that camellias as a general species are so underutilized in commercial landscapes in Louisiana. And I think we could do a lot with extending bloom season, with using these different species, and also provide a lot of pollinator forage in the wintertime. So we just left the Margie Jenkins azalea garden, and one of her favorite plants was Leucothoe. And there's been some really interesting breeding done on these plants to get them to a smaller, more compact size. This is called Squirt, and it's a compact Leucothoe, and it's doing really well. It has not been pruned at all to maintain this shape. It's got this nice, bright, new green foliage color and for the new growth, and it's staying in this beautiful little compact shape, and it'll fit well in small landscape beds. One of the other plant material collections that you'll see out here in the Piney Woods is our vast collection of Japanese maple cultivars. Now, oftentimes in Louisiana, we think of these trees as too delicate to handle our harsh summers and our heavy rainfall rates. But there are quite a few cultivars that have proven to be pretty resilient against those climate factors. And here at the Hammond Research Station, you can come walk through the Piney Woods and actually see how many have survived, especially considering we flooded twice in 2016, which caused a lot of root rot for a lot of plants. But some of these have survived and continue to thrive. So everybody knows Cleyera, right? Cleyera was used as a foundation evergreen landscape planting a lot in the 70s and 80s, but it's gotten a new life brought to it with some of the newer varieties on the market, and we've got 2 great variegated cultivars. This is Romeo, and it has a beautiful rose tinge to the variegated foliage.
So here we have North Pole Arborvitae from Proven Winners, and this is a Thuja occidentalis. And these are just great plants that I really like. They're so unique. They have that unique foliage. They give you actually a prehistoric look to your gardens. Very columnar, as you can see, vestigiate growth. Just a fantastic plant, maybe something around entranceways. So here we have Florida Sunshine Alyssum, and this is just a fantastic specimen. This chartreuse lime green color is becoming very popular in the landscape, and this is just a monster with great growth exhibiting that color. In the shadier spots, you can see the spots where it's self-shading, it gets a little deeper green, but where the sun's hitting it, it has this really bright, wonderful color that you just see across the garden. So I mentioned earlier about abelias being very underutilized in the Louisiana landscape. These are fantastic plants with great foliage. They attract pollinators. They're workhorses in the garden. We really think they should be used more often. Here we have Radiance, and this is just really well known because of its variegated leaf and the very fine leaf texture, lacy even. Another variegated abelia that should ring true to a lot of our Louisianans is Mardi Gras. This is a little bit larger leaf, a little bit different variegation. Just a fantastic plant. This one's actually more compact than some of the others, so it's a nice abelia for a smaller space. Now this abelia is Hopley, and it's a little larger than some of the other abelias we have. And it's another variegated abelia, fantastic plant, really stands out. But I really want to point out is that the new foliage comes out this really lime green color, and then as it gets older, it turns to this pale white and green variegation. It's a really neat transition.
So an evergreen landscape plant that we're seeing more and more use of in commercial landscapes and home landscapes is Podocarpus. Now, the one thing about Podocarpus is they get a lot larger at maturity than people think, and they can grow a lot faster too than sometimes we anticipate. But there are some really nice selections on the market that aren't quite so big and can fit in a smaller space. This is an older selection called Pringle's Dwarf, and it does maintain a much smaller growth habit, as you can see. So another Podocarpus that we really love is one of these seedling selections from Barry's Wholesale Nursery in Acadiana region. And you can see how densely branched it is, how short the internodes are. I think this is a great choice for a smaller planting area that still gives you that long strappy leaf and that Podocarpus shape, but it's going to be a little bit better behaved. And I wanted to point out something here too. You know, Louisiana has so many nurseries, and a lot of these nurseries are doing their own discovery and their own plant breeding. So I really encourage everybody, really look and research all that Louisiana nurseries have to offer, because there's some really hidden gems out there that may not be included in a powerful nationwide marketing program, but excellent plant material to use anyway. Another great selection here of Podocarpus are these variegated varieties, and we absolutely love this one from Southern Living Plant Collection. This is called Roman Candle, and as you can see, the new growth really has this beautiful white leaf with a light green stripe down the middle. Really shows up well in the landscape. Also, so far it's staying fairly small and bushy, and we'll just have to see how this grows as time goes on.
Okay, so here we have Ashley showing off our Sunshine Ligustrum. We're putting Ashley here just to show how big this is. This is an incredibly fast-growing plant, great for hiding things behind it. It's got that bright chartreuse lime green color you can see from across the field. Now, if it's grown in shade, it's going to be more of a green, but when it gets full sun, you get this really bright, amazing color. We love these here, and it's also sterile.
Okay, here we have Mountain Mint, and it's showing off its nice silvery bracts. It's highly fragrant and very attractive to pollinators as well.
So continuing with our theme of chartreuse colored plants, we have Gold Doubloon Gardenia. This color actually holds up all year long. The new growth looks fantastic on it, and it has a beautiful white bloom. It needs to get a little protection from the afternoon sun so it doesn't bleach out too badly, but a really tough gardenia with that bright green color.
We've talked earlier about how much we love these deciduous magnolias and how great they are during the summer when they're just in foliage. While these put on a fantastic show in the winter, the summer foliage is great. These are actually two yellow magnolias, so they flower fully yellow. We have just received a grant from the Louisiana Society of Horticultural Research to expand our hybrid magnolia collection and evaluate more for the nursery industry.
As we've said before, part of the collection we have here at the Hammond Research Station is to give exposure to plants that deserve a wider adoption in the landscape industry. And one of those is this. It's called Grandpa's Pumpkin Patch Lantana. It's a larger lantana, but not rangy. It still stays very full and bushy. And look at the orange colors on it. And it just never stops blooming all summer long.
So we're going to end the tour on one of the major highlights of our garden. And I know we've said we've loved a lot of plants, and we do. That's why we're here. But this is one of the best plants in the garden. This is variegated Gardenia jasminoides. It's in almost full shade. Fantastic variegation. It is just an amazing plant that everyone asks about when they come out here. We actually have another one similar planted in the sun, and it's doing pretty well. And so the variegation, it seems, holds up in both sun and shade.